Hello everyone. So I hope you were able to get your application created and get started on the SAML configuration. I'm going to go ahead and walk through the next steps to tweak that configuration so that you can map group membership to organization administration on the Ansible automation platform side of things. So likely you've already been here, but I'm going to go ahead and hop into the single sign-on page for my enterprise application in Azure. And I'm going to go specifically to the attributes and claims section, which is where we're going to create 3 attributes that will be in claims that will be used to map the various resources in Azure to what we want people to have membership of in Ansible Automation Platform. So I'm going to click edit here just to list them out. Specifically, we're going to focus on member of team, and admin of. I'll start with member of because I think it's the simplest. You will take the member of and we're just going to map it to an attribute called user.department. I mentioned that you'll want to have an attribute in your Active Directory other than groups to map a user to an organization. This is because Azure AD limits to one group claim, and we're going to use the group claim to map membership of teams. Therefore, we can't use it to map membership of organizations. So that's okay though. In this user.department field, let's say I want the user to be a member of the platform organization. Well, if their user.department is platform, boom, this will map over and they'll be added to the platform organization. So what does that look like on the Ansible side of things? In my SAML organization attribute mapping, you'll see that the SAML attribute member of is what I'm picking out. And what that'll do is whatever the value of that attribute is, it's going to create that org if it doesn't exist, or it'll add me as a member to that org if it does exist. So if I come back over here, I'm going to take a look at the member of team. So this is where I'm using that group claim. And you'll see that I limit the groups just to groups assigned to the application. That's so that if the user, let's say they're a member of 100 or so groups, I don't want them all coming through and creating teams. So I'm going to limit it just to the groups assigned to the application. And I'm using the source attribute as the display name. You could use the group ID, and there's ways to alias that on the Ansible side so that you don't have GUIDs as your team names. And then if I scroll down here a little bit, I also customize the name of the group claim just for clarity. So I'm calling it member of team. If you use the default name of the group claim, that's fine as well. You'll just want to configure that appropriately on the Ansible side. So where do I set that up in Ansible? So you'll see we are looking at the organization attribute mapping. Now we're going to go down to the team attribute mapping, and you'll see that I chose that SAML attribute for member of team. And the entries that are going to come through are all the groups that I'm a member of that are assigned to the application in Azure AD. So for this particular application, I have 2 groups created. One is the Ansible SSO platform users, and one is the Ansible SSO platform admins. So as you can imagine, if I'm a member of both of those groups, I'll be added to both teams. If I'm only a member of the users group, I will only end up getting added to the user team. And this is where the alias I was talking about comes in handy. So if you weren't to use the display name and would rather use the GUID, you would just make this value the GUID and then give it a friendly name. So in the UI, you don't see GUIDs everywhere, you actually see team names. And then an important piece of the mapping is that a team has to be mapped to an organization, and that's so that you could have the same team name in 2 different orgs. So let's say we also have a network team in the future. We might want a users team in the network org. So we would have an additional mapping there for a team with a Ansible SSO network users, and then organization network team alias users. So let's hop back over for our last piece of mapping here. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And this is the admin of. So this one is a little bit more involved. The attribute itself is pretty simple. So I'm just mapping admin of to user.assigned roles. But where does that assigned roles come from? So let's go back to the enterprise application itself. And I'm going to go over to these users and groups. So these are the users and groups assigned to the application itself, which, if you remember, I limited to in the member of team attribute. So I have two groups here, and then as myself, I am a user added to this, but also if you're a member of these groups, you are added to the application as well. And if I were to look at the Ansible SSO platform users, you'll see that there's three of us, myself, my wife, and then my dog. If I go back, the admins group is just myself and my wife. So if Murphy logs in, he is not going to be made an admin of the platform org, but if myself or Brittany log in, we will be made admins. And where that role assignment happens is right here. So you'll see these other groups, they just have the role assigned for user, but Ansible SSO platform admins has this special one called platform admins. And you can create these. You'll see there's a little help here, a little helper note here where you go over to the app reg to create these. So what do you need to do in the creation here? So what's important is, one, the display name. That's kind of a metadata field within Azure, but you want it to be meaningful. So I called it platform admins. Another one is the allowed member types. You'll want it to be users and groups, specifically because you want to leverage groups here to manage these so you don't have to do individual users. The value is very important. The value needs to be the name of the organization that you want the users to be admins of in Ansible Automation Platform. So in my particular instance, that is platform. So platform admins, it makes sense. They are given this role assignment and the value is going to be platform. And then also you can give it a friendly description as well. So how does that work? Let's go back over to Ansible Automation Platform. Let's see if my session, I might have to relog in real quick. Apologies for that. So I'm back in, hop back into my SAML settings. I like to click edit just to get a better view here, and I'm going to scroll down to the SAML organization team attribute mapping. All right, so now we're here and we have the SAML organization attribute mapping. Back to that step. So we've already talked about the member of. So the admin attribute will map admin role, will map a user with the admin role to a particular organization. So that is why it is important that the value is the name of the org. So when that comes through, if I am part of that, if I am part of the group that is assigned the platform admin's role, the value will be platform, and I will be an admin of the platform organization. So let's see if we'll go ahead and log out of here as admin, and I'll click on this sign in with SAML Azure, and I'm going to go ahead and use my current login. And so I should be both an admin and a member of the platform organization. So as you'll see, there is platform. And if I go to access, I am both an admin and a member. So just what we wanted, right? And then you can also see that when Murphy logged in, he was just a member. And when Brittany logged in, she's just an admin. That's because she hasn't re-logged in since I updated the configuration. Once she logs in again, she will be both an admin and a member. So thanks for watching. I hope that this video helps you map group membership to admin rights in your Ansible Automation Platform instance.